a little bit of that. Uh, I grew up in Camden, New Jersey, which is right over the bridge. And I was able to obtain a football scholarship to Syracuse University, which means I was going to go to school and draw and play football. Two of the things which I think I love the most. It was interesting because when I was getting recruited, the coaches would come to my mom's house. We're all sitting down in the living room, and I would show them my portfolio. Like, hey, these are my drawings, these are my sketches. This is what I want to do when I get to school. And they're like, yeah, you can absolutely do that. Come to Syracuse, you can do that full time, the whole time you're there, and play football. So when I was being recruited and I went up there on my official visit to the school, all the other, student athletes were actually getting shown the rest of the campus, and they kind of took me off and brought me over to VPA, which is the Visual and Performing Arts building, and gave me, a private tour of the building, showed me all of their studios and things like that. And I met a few of the professors. And I think that was really what enticed me to go to the school and go to Syracuse. Now, I will say it was a little bit of a different story when I actually got there and got on campus, being that there weren't many athletes, much less football players, that actually studied art at the time and also, did football. The classes weren't really aligning to a specific football schedule. So for football, you pretty much had to be done your school day from 1 o'clock on to the rest of the night. So if you had a studio class that lasted 5 hours, you kind of, it was kind of hard to actually do that with practice and things like that. So needless to say, my first year was a rough schedule. I actually was able to take all of my foundation classes when I got to Syracuse my first year because I redshirted. So I was able to take 2D, 3D drawing from life, anatomy classes, and painting, it was really just acrylic painting, but nonetheless, it was a painting class. So I was able to do that all of my freshman year. And then, and some of these, actually, let me go through some of the slides as well. So some of these are actually me playing football and then showing some of those life drawing classes that I actually took that freshman year. These are some more life drawing classes, just some quick contour drawings and things like that we were doing at the time while I was playing football. And one thing to note with this, so after my freshman year, I actually was starting to play a lot more and be integrated within the team a lot more. And consequently, your second year, you have to declare a major, and those majors, the major classes have to align with the football schedule. Now, needless to say, 5 to 6 hour studio drawing and painting class did not align with the schedule at all. So I was forced to actually switch my major from visual arts to something totally different. But I was kind of okay to do that because I knew I was able to pick that up and continue that after my football career at Syracuse. So I was willing to do that and play and continue to play football at Syracuse at the time. So after that, when did I actually start painting again? So it was not until in my 30s. By this time, I've already acquired MBA and I was working full time and things like that. And it wasn't until in my 30s that I kind of was like, this whole time I always felt like something was missing with what I was doing. And I always felt like, art was such a big part of my life growing up. And I really wanted to get back to it somehow. So I decided to get together a portfolio of paintings, and I was gonna, pitch them to galleries or show them to galleries at the time. So to my surprise, I started doing that. And it actually was the first painting that I did that I did a painting and I actually posted it on Instagram. You know, it was in process at the time. And to my surprise, a gallery reached out to me after that painting. Now, it was this small gallery in Cape Cod near Provincetown. And it was called, it was Joe Hayes Studio, but it's actually called Carolyn Kramer Gallery. And, you know, she was like, hey, I really like that painting that you did, which is this painting that you guys are seeing here, which is called Citizen. And I would love to show it in my gallery. Can I actually see it? Can you bring it up? And things like that. So I kind of took a ride up and showed her the painting, but it wasn't until probably about a month later where she actually called me back and said, hey, you know, I have a show coming up and I would love to show this painting at the show. So she actually took the painting, showed it at the show, and I guess 5 minutes into the show, you know, folks walked in and someone actually bought the painting as soon as the doors opened. And it was one of those things where because Cape Cod in that area is such a small town and there's so many people descending upon the town at one time within the summer, there was this buzz around town about the painting. So the painting winded up being on the cover of their local magazine and all these other things around the painting.
This is an incredible story. And it would make so many painters jealous. I mean, that's just, you are a lucky guy. That's awesome.
Yeah, I definitely think there was definitely a level of luck in that.
That'll definitely make you want to keep on painting for sure.
It did, yeah. I mean, right after that, she offered me a solo show, which would
wow.
Yeah, right. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. So, and it was around this time was the same time a lot of things were happening as far as like the election and things like that. So that same painting actually also showed in New York, which is the slide next to it.
So what year was this? 2016?
Yeah, it was 2016. And my solo show would have been 2017. Yep. Yeah, so a lot of things was happening. So there was a lot of buzz around the painting. Even when it showed in New York, I think, you know, a lot of folks were interested in the painting at the time, but it had already sold and stuff like that. With that being said, though, I did develop quite a few relationships, you know, showing it in New York, and was able to actually go on to doing a few other things before my solo show, which was really good. So next up, I think this is one of the things that kind of came out of that, which is this organization called Shooting Touch. And I was pretty much asked to do a painting to be auctioned off. And Shooting Touch is an organization that provides healthcare for kids in Rwanda and different parts of Africa. And now they're doing some more things within the States. But at the time, it was really focused on that. And for me to be able to provide a painting that they can auction off and then later on later on, you know, provide healthcare to these kids was something that I kind of jumped on. So if you ever look at any of my handles and things like that, obviously it's this painting. If you look on Instagram, you'll see the image of this painting is pretty much my handle. But this painting became pretty significant to me because during the auction, it winded up selling to, I think it was someone on ESPN, but it provided healthcare for 250 kids within Rwanda for that time. You know, they suffer from like things that we don't really suffer from, like malaria and all these other things. So that winded up being, you know, a large part of my painting career. And I think also it gave me a look at, hey, you can do things with painting that are a little bit beyond you, that go a lot further and impact a lot more people. Yeah, which was really great. And I since then I've always cherished this painting. It's one of those paintings that really impacted, I think, my life as well.
It's beautiful. This model has just such a look in his eyes too. Who is this?
Well, this is one of the kids from Rwanda. you know, the photographer there, Chris,
Yeah.
who is associated with the organization Shooting Touch, gave me a few images of the different kids that they were working with there. And this was actually one of them. And he's holding a bunch of sneakers because they provide them with like sneakers.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask,
You
did he
know,
actually have the sneakers hanging around his neck, or
he
did you
did,
add
yeah,
those?
yeah. Yeah, he did.
Wow.
So they give them like new sneakers so they can like play basketball and kind of be part
Oh,
of the
it's
organization.
incredible.
Yeah, they build like basketball courts, and it's kind of how they gather them and kind of reel them in, and then are able to provide help associated with that. So yeah, so it's great. And then so after that, I had to jump pretty much right into my first solo show, which was at that same gallery in Cape Cod, and this is it. It was Reasonable Doubt, and I think it kind of reflected on a lot of different social issues at the time. Just looking at it and kind of looking back on it, obviously there was an interesting political state that was going on within the U.S., but it also looked at, because P-Town was right there, it looked at gay rights, and it also looked at, different racial issues that folks were suffering against. And this is back in 2017, but it was also looking at gun violence and police shootings and police brutality. So there were a lot of different things that were associated with this show, but it being my first show, I really wanted it to be pretty impactful and kind of draw folks in at the time. So the two paintings at the bottom is, one is Second Citizen, which is kind of another version of that first painting that I did. And this painting actually won quite a few awards before it was purchased. And then next to it is a very similar painting that that I think reflected the same type of thought process and imagery. Okay. So another painting in that show was this painting, which is called Praying This Works. And this painting has an interesting story to me because it winded up back in Philadelphia, even though it was purchased in Cape Cod. The person who purchased it actually currently lives in Philadelphia. So it was great knowing that the painting winded up back here, and it's sitting in their living room now. But it is a pretty large painting, and does reflect on some of those things around social justice that we talked about. And I don't know if I talked about it a lot, but most of these are, they're oil paintings, so they're oil on canvas or oil on panel for the most part. So,
and who are the models that you use, and do they play a part in the message that you're trying to convey?
They do. I think most of the models that I use are friends and family. So they're people that I know, whether they've kind of been through certain things or lean a certain way with their values. That usually lends me to select them as a model. But yeah, a lot of them are friends and family. Mhm. Another painting, and this is obviously self-portrait, but this painting was actually in my second solo show, which I had one right after the first one, which is kind of crazy, but within the same gallery. And I think the next few paintings here are going to be part of that. But the show was called American Emotion. And it was basically a lot of paintings. And this is, heavy into, I think, Trump era and like things were really changing within the climate at the time. And you could see it all over the news and all over social media and things like that. So I wanted to do a show kind of reflecting, our feelings as a community and the impact that it was having at the time. And this painting is called Human. What's this painting called? Only Human. This painting is called Only Human, and it kind of just is this remembrance that, you know, we're all human beings, we're all people on the inside. And, you know, only our skin is kind of the thing that's separating us. And this is another painting that was in that show, and it's called Her. This painting actually just got shipped out to California, which is great. But it's basically a painting around, it's a female that is kind of a little bit androgynous, but at the same time, it's showing that, you know, she still has this inner strength in her, I think. You know, and it's okay to be a female, and it's okay to kind of stand on that platform and be who you are. So that's why, you know, I really love this painting.
And is that going into a show in California, or was it purchased?
It was actually purchased. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was purchased, and so it's going to someone's house, which is great. And I think that person actually, they purchased a few other paintings, but they're really into you know, women's rights and helping, I think, the community and stuff like that. So, you know, we've been having great conversations around that. So it's going to a great home.
Amazing. Yes, I'm sure you have some collectors who buy more than one piece of your work. It's always fun.
Yeah, you do. And it's good because you know, a lot of times they'll buy more than one piece, because most serious collectors do want more than one piece from the artist.
Right. Yeah.
But then, you know, the reasoning behind why they buy the pieces is probably the most interesting part, because
Yeah.
the paintings that I'm doing, they're not necessarily, you know, decorative works. They're not necessarily.
They tell such stories. I mean, they're so multi-dimensional. They're amazing.
Yeah, well, thank you. And yeah, I think so, because so someone who collects these, they're not, you know, probably your average decorative collector. They're someone who actually wants, you know, an impactful piece and a meaningful piece. Yeah. So this, I think this one is actually, you know, artist residence in Pittsburgh right now, but it's around the similar message, and it was in that same show, which was American Emotion. So it was kind of this personification of justice and just and shared disbelief, pretty much. And it's another one of those very large paintings, which I think it's like 5 feet by 4 feet, which is great because it makes that impact. So after that, I actually did, you know, I was doing quite a few paintings. I wanted to show this one because it won an award as a finalist painting for the Art Renewal Center and their Salon show, which is a pretty big figurative show that I think a lot of figurative artists know about. And this is a painting of my best friend's mother in Camden. And the painting is called Umi, and which is in Arabic that means mother. And she was pretty much like my mother growing up as well. We were very close, and it, you know, was great for me to actually capture her and put her in a painting. Growing up, it's interesting because they don't have any pictures throughout their house as part of their religion. So her allowing me to actually take a photograph of her and do a painting of her was pretty much a really big deal. So that's great. And I think this one actually, the collector who purchased this one actually started a museum in Texas. So this painting is going to be in a museum in Texas, which is great. Next, we actually wanted to talk about one of my most recent shows this year, which was a show at Abend Gallery in Denver. And the show was called Wide Awake. And it's basically touching on different topics that I think we need to kind of wake up to or be, do a little bit more research on or dive a little bit more into around, self-awareness, spirituality, self-love, those types of things. So I kind of wanted to show a few paintings from that show. The first one is Know Your Worth, which, if you really look at the painting, it signifies kind of, or pulls in that Basquiat painting, which at the time was the highest selling painting at auction. But then it also talks a little bit about, how much, how much are you worth as a person, and waking up to that. So you'll see they'll all have the coffee cups, which symbolizes waking up to something, being aware of it. And then within those coffee cups, there'll be a symbolism or some symbolic message that I think folks probably should think about, or dive a little bit deeper into, and get an understanding of how that can promote them, and promote, kind of spiritual growth and self-growth. So you'll see that within these paintings. So the next one, right next to that painting, is actually forest bathing, which is Japanese kind of practice around becoming connected with nature, and it just providing a sense of calmness and a sense of oneness. So if you look at that painting, it kind of reflects that, and how nature can kind of help us, kind of calm us down, and kind of make us more grounded, and bring us back to a sense of who we are. So other two paintings in that show, or two other paintings in that show, is Self-Love, which is the first one, and the second one is Cleveland Ave. Cleveland Ave is very interesting because folks don't know, but that is the Rosa Parks bus, and where she was headed was Cleveland Ave. So that kind of brings us back to that whole civil rights movement, and waking up to the things that were going on then, and the things that are currently going on now. Am I over time? I'm sorry, I didn't. I kind of don't realize how long we are. No, good. Okay.
Oh, you're good. These talks have spanned from like 20 minutes to 2.5 hours. So take your time.
Okay. Okay, that's long. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna go that long, but okay, sure, I'll do that. So the next painting on here was another ARC award painting, which is called Free Thinker. And a lot of these paintings have a little bit deeper meanings than what you see on the surface. This was based on a famous pose from Malcolm X, but it is also pulling in the thinker, as well as it's basically based around women's rights, and kind of being free, basically understanding who you are, and where, and determining your own destiny and where you're going. So I think, this winded up being a pretty powerful painting to me. And the good thing about this painting is it actually ended up on a TV show this past year on OWN, which is Delilah was the TV show, but it's great because then it's going to be a part of that set ongoing for as long as the show is running, which is great. So keeping on the theme of what has been going on this year, I recently had, I guess it was my 4th solo show, but the first one in Philadelphia. So this one was at Corridor Contemporary Gallery in Fishtown. And it was basically a show of 15 new works that represented a specific theme. The name of the show was called Human Nature, and it kind of, each painting kind of brings you back to whether it's spiritual growth or overall understanding of who you are, but then pulling in themes related to Black Lives Matter movement, or an overall racial and social injustice issues, which were very big and are very big and prominent, I think, throughout my life, and also currently with the things that are going on and have been going on in America. So if you look at the span of these paintings, and it spanned, I think, 2 floors at Corridor Contemporary, which is great. And, you know, the show lasted, I think, for 2 months. So they had the show up in Fishtown for 2 months, which was great. And this is the 2nd floor with some more of the paintings that were within the show. Taking a look at some of the paintings up close, which I pulled in here at the end. This is one of them, which is Protect Our Protector, which is my best friend, or one of my best friends, and his daughter, and her kind of just, you know, holding on to him. And to me, it was one of those paintings where we think of our fathers as our protectors and our father figures, and but we never think of how we're kind of losing them, and how a lot of the Black males are basically being murdered by police injustice and things like that. And to me, it was a sense of, we need to have an obligation to actually protect them, because in turn, they're the ones who are there and protecting their families. And there are so many children that, you know, need that and need that father figure. So I think that's one of the reasons why, you know, I painted this, and probably my favorite painting within that show at Corridor.
That is so amazing. When we started showing people, hi, my name is Kim, honey. I'm the director at the Portside Art Center.
Oh, hey, Kim, how are you?
Good, good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, we were telling people we were, you know, showing off your stuff because we really couldn't get over your paintings look like photographs.
Oh, okay.
They're amazing. We have an artist, Chris Windle, and he does, you know, amazing work. This is just beautiful. Your talent is amazing.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, we would love you to do some teaching with us, or, you know, visit our gallery, or be, you know, an artist in resident 1 month. That would be amazing if you decided to do that.
Oh, absolutely. I think that would be
Yeah.
great. No, I would.
Claudia just sold, it's Claudia's month, and yesterday she set up her paintings for the first time, and she sold 4 of them for, you know, $2,000 to an interior designer that's gonna, now her painting's gonna be in a mansion somewhere. So we're really excited about that. Yeah. And the exposure down is, Cherry Street is amazing. We just love it so much down here. We're so grateful.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I think I've only been there probably once or twice.
Yeah, it's a hidden little treasure here.
Yeah, you got to come by. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have our first Friday this Friday. If you're not busy, we have our summer camp. The kids, all the kids, they're going to be displaying their art in the gallery section.
Oh wow, first Friday. Okay, yeah, I'll see if I can.
From what, 6 to 8?
Yeah, 5 to 8, 6 to 8.
Okay. We're done till 6.
Yeah, 6 to 8.
Yeah, I think it's 6 to 8, but we would love to meet you in person and just like gawk at you because you're so amazing. We're like, oh my goodness.
Really I'm sure beautiful. You hear it all the time.
Oh, never.
Nah.
Where's your studio at, by the way? You're based in Philadelphia now?
I'm actually right outside of Westchester now.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, right outside of Philadelphia, so I'm in Westchester now, which I'm actually moving in the next few weeks. So we'll see what winds up happening. But yeah, I'm right outside of Philadelphia. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Very cool. So your studio is out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. The studios here, they're great. They have all the beautiful glass doors. They remodeled the ceiling and the doors, and yeah, just an amazing light in here. And right now, the way the weather is, the breeze. I just opened my arms. I was like, oh, it feels so good. Walking down the hallway. The artists are really cool, and yeah, it's nice being around, you know, your own people.
Yeah.
As far as artists, you know what I mean? It's really artists down here. Yeah, it's very stimulating. Yeah, and the manager down here, Sarah, she's ridiculous. She's amazing.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'm usually
Yeah.
extremely siloed here. Um, so,
Yes, it's
absolutely.
nice.
It sparks some of that creativity, you know?
Yeah, geez Louise. What else you have there?
Um, yeah, I think we were looking through some of these. These are some of the works that were in the last solo show. And you know, they depict a lot of different things. I think this one was, you know, quarter water, which is like kind of like a staple in the urban community, but then it's pulling in, you know, what's going on as far as like pollution and also a hint or nod to art history as well with some of these paintings, which I'm a huge art history buff. So um, this is another one, which was a diptych that was at the show. The first, well, is it a diptych? Kind of a diptych. It's kind of just a pair of paintings, I think. This is a mother and her son, and the first one is basically a young black kid wearing, you know, a backpack, like he's going on a journey, and it's basically symbolism of a journey through life and how he has to be prepared for that. And it's, you know, it's kind of just going almost to war at some points where it's, you know, you have to really look out for certain things being a young black male and trying to navigate this journey of life. So that's kind of like what that first one is. And the second one is you know, Flying Blind, which is another one of my favorite paintings, I think, from the solo show, which symbolizes that navigation as well throughout life. And, you know, being an African American female, and you're kind of, you know, left to really take care of, you know, a community and kind of fend for yourself throughout that. So these are, you know, the two sister paintings that were in the show, but and obviously one of my favorite paintings. Like I said, there was 15 paintings in that show that were newer, so I didn't want to I don't think I put all of them in. This actually might be the last painting. Yeah, that was the last painting that I had on this slide deck.
O'Neill, we have a question for you from Joanne. She says, I applaud your efforts towards social injustice. Curious of your method. Do you use a grid over the photo? I'm so in awe of your talent.
Oh gosh. Well, I don't use a grid. There are a few different ways, I think. I transfer the drawing sometimes. And then if it's a smaller painting, I kind of just freehand it, which is, you know, probably like one of my favorite ways to do it, and just kind of just go in and fill it out. And you'll notice that with some of the smaller paintings, because some of them will be like a little off kilter and things like that, which I really like. But then if it's a larger painting, I'll do a sketch and I'll transfer it. And it's really just getting a sense of, you know, where the larger areas are, because a lot of the times when I'm going through the painting, I'm not really looking at the reference that much. Like some of it is just made up, just understanding where the shadows lie and how the figure turns, because I find that just going from a photo, sometimes it can really flatten the images. And, you know, just being able to think through that and understand how form works is a little bit more helpful. So some of these look totally different from the photo references just because of that.
So you normally make preliminary drawings then and sketches of your paintings?
Yeah, I'll do preliminary drawings, quick sketches, and, you know, transfer them to sometimes larger paintings and things like that.
Yeah, and the size of most of your paintings are so impactful because, I mean, these images, these people in your paintings, they exude strength, you know, and so kind of the bigger they are, it makes more of an impact, and the more powerful they appear, which is really cool.
Yeah, I really like big paintings. It's that it's so interesting because the big paintings, uh, are a lot harder. Well, I'm not going to say a lot harder to sell, but a lot of times, you know, those big impactful paintings are painted for like things like museums and things like that, or museum shows, because they have the space and they're on public view and folks can see them and live with them, um, which is great. But yeah, I love larger paintings. I think they just kind of draw you in and you feel like, you know, you're within the painting at the time. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we actually have another question now from Janine. She's wondering, are the sketches from life or photo?
Oh, no, most of the sketches are from photos. Um, it's hard to sketch from life, especially when you're doing family members and things like that. It just takes so long because a painting, especially of this size, can easily take a month. So just to do the sketches, it just takes a long period of time. And some of these preliminary sketches, they wind up being really finished. So I'll, even though I'm not supposed to, I'll like continue to sketch on them, and they'll wind up being finished drawings. So you know, it just takes way too long to have someone sit there and pose for them. Even though I did go through that throughout school, and have extended poses and things like that. Uh, it's just more practical nowadays to just be able to do it from a photo.
Amazing.
Thank you, thank you. And like I said, the photo flattens sometimes, so you kind of have to make some of it up, you know, make up the
Yeah.
shadows and turn the form, and you really can't be a slave to it, because if you are, you'll wind up having a little bit more of a flat image. So yeah, take some of that artistic liberty.
Yeah, I can see your influence from the old masters. This looks like you had some inspiration
With the
from
dark background and
Caravaggio.
stuff.
Yeah, what is it
It is
called? The light and the dark.
chiaroscuro.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, yes. And I think you can see that when I'm looking at different paintings and kind of pulling from different old masters and different paintings throughout history, because obviously I was looking at Caravaggio through some of these darker paintings. There was another one that I did early last year, and it didn't wind up in the show because it sold like before the show even, like months before the show even got out. But it was called Out of the Darkness, which is directly reflected from Caravaggio, and it's just, you know, that it's huge in chiaroscuro, and you can kind of barely make out the woman kind of peeking out, and then like all of the light kind of shining on her, which is great. So yeah, a lot of those are definitely reflected directly from her. I think, or directly reflected from Caravaggio. There's even a painting, and I'm really big on like Philadelphia artists, and so one of my favorite painters is Thomas Eakins, which I've studied him a lot and done, you know, a lot of drawings based on his just thickness and tactile quality of his paints. And one of the paintings in the show, called Hunger Has a Silver Lining, a lot of the elements within that painting is pulled from the way Thomas Eakins would do it, or how he would draw it, or how he would paint it. So yeah. I don't know if I actually have an image of that. If I have an image of that, I would show it to you guys. But it's, hold on, maybe I can go back a little bit. You can kind of see it. It's like right in the at the top in the center. And you can, so if you see this one in person, you can, it's really tactile. It's really like, some of the paint is like really thick, and some of it is really thinner, but it's like if you look at the fish like kind of hanging off the table, you'll see that you know, that thick paint with the glazes over it, and you know, you'll get a sense of I think I'm hoping you get a sense of what Thomas Eakins does. But then if you look at the figure, it was directly pulled from oh my gosh, I'm like blanking on names right now. But I was looking at Sargent, obviously, and the tablecloth and things like that. And then the figure was pulled from Barclay Hendricks. I don't know if you know Barclay Hendricks. Kind of the way he would normally do figures, and then he would put like really flatten out some of the areas. So
Yeah.
you want to see that within the figure and see how like pushed back and flattened some of the like the suit is, and then when you look at the face, how it's being modeled, it's really looking at what Barclay Hendricks was doing at the time. And so yeah, they're all mixed up in there, which is great.
I want to see that in person.
Yeah, you should. I think it's still at Corridor Contemporary, in Fishtown. And I'm sure if you go by there, if it's not hanging, if you go by there and ask them, they'll gladly bring it up for you. Yesterday, someone asked to see a painting there, and they went by and they kind of took it out and showed it to them. It was one of the larger paintings. So I'm pretty sure they would do that for this one as well.
That's cool. Yeah, you'll have to think about, I'm sure Claudia's spoken to you about being our artist in residence. We would love to have a showing here with your art and you to take residence for a month. I think you'd just be tickled to be here. You might even want to rent one of the studios.
Yeah, I would definitely look into that. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, $400 a month, man. You can't beat it.
Yeah, that's, oh my God. Can't beat that at all.
No.
At all.
Wow.
But it's free to be one of our artists.
Yeah.
For the month.
Yeah, we get amazing artists, whether they're art teachers or community members, and we offer them the space. We pay the rent, of course, and we offer them the space to use as their own for 1 month, and then have like the first Friday showing too. And our rent has been paid by the Port Richmond Savings Bank, so we're very fortunate to have that sponsor. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah, I would have to look into that. I have so many things coming up too. Which
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. We'll get in line. We'll wait. Anything worth having is worth waiting for.
Yeah.
Any exhibitions in Philadelphia coming up?
Directly in Philadelphia, I was supposed to be in one that I missed. That was at Arch Enemy. They just had a show that I actually missed it, unfortunately. But they have one in September. It's called like Spectrum or something like that, where I will have a painting there. It will be a brand new painting. And it's based on the colors within the spectrum. So my painting will be one of those colors. So that'd be great. Being able to show there, it's always good.
Yeah, we're going to be at the our art center was chosen for I think the 4th year now by the Rittenhouse Fine Art show down at Rittenhouse Square. So we'll be down there in 2 weeks. You'll have to stop by and visit. Our children made resin clocks out of old records.
Okay.
Yeah. That's really a good show too.
You'll send me that
going there for a couple years.
Claudia, if you could send me any of that information, I would definitely come and check it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. People come from all over the United States to be in the show.
Oh, wow.
And we're thinking it's gonna be really, really good this year, because last year was online and it wasn't,
Yeah.
everybody, you have to see art and you have to like absorb it. It's hard to really appreciate it, like looking at it on the screen. Like I'm sure if we were to see that.
Yeah, like we were talking about the size. You have to be like, you're like immersed in the painting when you see it.
Yeah, and they talk about that, like a lot of art moving online, and I'm like, it'll never be the same. It's not gonna be the same,
Yeah, you might as well just look at someone's Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you really need to.
It gives you a nice taste, and then you just want to see the real thing, Beautiful.
Absolutely. Yes, I think that's the next one coming up in Philadelphia. A lot of the shows are, like for example, I have a show that starts tomorrow, opens tomorrow actually at the Wausau Museum of Contemporary Art, and that's in like Wisconsin. So it's a museum show, but it's it's a large painting, which is great. That's going to be in that show, and it's a lot of really well-known, I think, figurative artists throughout the country. Actually, throughout the country and abroad, that will be in that show. And it's like an annual show, which is great. So it's called Painting the Figure Now.